can you get a decent 3D printer of a price tag of $300 US? One that can compete with the others. And what do I think about it? The Creality Ender-3 S1 Pro, right here on Zachary's 3D Prints. This 3D printer was sent by Creality to review on this channel. No money has exchanged for getting a better review. I want to give my honest opinion what I think about this 3D printer. And if you are thinking about it that I'm going to be all positive about this machine, there are also several other things that I don't like about this machine. But that I will tell you a little bit later. Let's go. 4 years ago, I bought my first Creality Ender-3 Pro. It was a decent machine. I was happy with it because that was the first printer where I got some decent prints coming out of it instead of those things that didn't look like anything at all. It had an 8-bit board, just a magnetic flexible build plate. It had a Bowden tube extruder with a plastic, extruder head. Nothing too fancy. A clicking wheel with a monochrome blue LCD screen was nice. And then came the Creality Ender-3 V2. This 3D printer was a little bit more upgrade. A glass bed, still a plastic extruder head with a Bowden tube attached to it. Same hot end, no big upgrades there, but a 32-bit board. Later on, last year, I bought a second Creality Ender-3 Pro. Because I was, curious how the whole experience was after 3 years, working with 3D printers. And guess what? There is a 32-bit board in this 3D printer. Instead of a Meanwell power supply, they went to their own Creality branded power supply. But still the same monochrome screen with a click wheel and a plastic extruder head with a Bowden tube. And also the flexible build plate looked a little bit different, but no PI. No glass. And now Creality has sent me this 3D printer to review on this channel. What do I think about it? Well, this 3D printer has many upgrades. It doesn't have any glass bed. It has a PEI spring steel sheet with a textured surface on top of it. If you are print on this surface, that prints will stick and adhere better to the build plate. It is still 220 to 20 x 250 build volume, same as all previous Creality Ender-3s in the series. But there is a better spool holder than the previous one. This one is tilted more to the back instead of, just like a flag post with the filament spool installed on top of it. The filament spool holder does look amazing. It has room for 2 spools, but you have to look very carefully because on the other side there is room for another spool holder like the ones that you will get by your Creality machines. In this package only came one, but you can order them. You can maybe even 3D print them. In the package that I received, there was this bearing loaded spool holder, the roll, the drum, where you put your filament spool on top of it. That I didn't like because when I was loading it, I noticed that the spool was already, turning. So if you are going to print with this 3D printer and the extruder pulls on it, then your filament spool will keep rotating afterwards as well. To avoid any issues, I wanted to be sure that this is not going to happen. So I took it off and I took a normal original spool drum back on there. Just when the extruder pulls, that the filament spool keeps there. As mentioned, there's also filament run out sensor on the same spool holder. There is even room for a second, but I never understood why you would have 2 spools together on the filament spool holder. I know that Prusa also does do the same thing with 2 spools on the whole filament spool holder, but when the extruder has just one hole to put the filament in, why would you have 2 spools on the same holder? Makes no sense. But some people told me that if you are preparing for doing a filament swap, that would be very handy to have. But let's talk about the direct drive extruder, because this is interesting. Creality has seen many mods coming on the Creality Ender-3 and many other Creality 3D printers, and they have seen that people are upgrading from the Bowden tube to a direct drive extruder, and they call this direct drive extruder the Sprite extruder. Very nice, compact direct drive extruder. On the front side there is the parts cooling fan blowing in a 45-degree angle onto the build plate. This 3D printer has also a auto bed leveling system, but I can already tell you I have seen faster bed probing when it comes to ABL or auto bed leveling. This is pretty slow, and I have seen that on many other 3D printers. It's going very slowly down. So if Creality can do something about that, that would be very nice. If you're looking to the base of this 3D printer, I see another upgrade that they did. The power supply is now located, just like the Ender-3 V2, located in the base of the 3D printer instead of on the backside from the 3D printer. It looks ugly, nobody likes it, and Creality also did see it that it looks more, stylish. Talking about the base, there is a 32-bit board that looks way different than previous 32-bit boards. There are some upgrade possibilities, but I will leave the machine as it is and not doing any big upgrades on this 3D printer, because out of the box it does run nice. They have a dual Z lead screw setup with a timing belt in the top. There's also on the top a work light that you can switch on when you are printing and you want to have more light when printing. Would that have been nice if there was a, app controlled RGB light in there instead of just having white, that you can also choose like blue or purple or some other colors as well. And then let's talk about the LCD touchscreen. Yes, you heard me correctly, it is a touchscreen. Multicolor, it looks all very nice, very intuitive, and you can see exactly what the printer is doing. But there is a little thing that I encountered several times, and it was also visible on the Creality Ender-3 V2. Because on many of the 3D printers from Creality, you have this little issue when naming files. Small, okay. Long, bad. And on this machine, you have to be sure that if you are going to name something, that it is short, because everything else will be cut off and you have only 2 dots. So figure out which kind of thing you are going to print. Also, within the menu, you cannot have folders. This is also a thing. I have tried it on the CR200B, several other 3D printers. It is not possible. For some reason, it's just a thing from Creality that they have a little problem with. If you put something in folders, to get your work organized, well, this machine cannot handle folders. It is just not visible. I know, it's bad. Then the print quality. What do I think about the print results that came out of this 3D printer? I can say that this printer was pretty concise when it comes to printing the models. I print a lot of models in PLA, also for printing PETG. And every single time I got some nice results out of this 3D printer. So what do I think about this Creality Ender-3 S1 Pro? For a price tag of $300 and competing with the Solvo SV06, the Elegoo machines or the Anycubic machines or any other 3D printer with the same kind of specs, I think that this is a decent machine. It has ABL, it has a 32-bit board, it has a direct drive extruder. The build volume is a normal standard build volume, something that you would expect on many other machines in the same price range. There is a work light on this 3D printer, which makes this also very easy to use when working in more darker environments, that you don't have to put the lights on or that you don't have a punch line to put on the 3D printer. With this work light you will see a lot. If you don't like the light, you can always switch it off as well. But what don't I like about this 3D printer? Well, first of all, to start with, the ABL, the auto bed leveling. It is a cool feature, but it is way too slow. This is a process that in the Marlin firmware can be, sped up, going faster. Also, what I don't like about this 3D printer is also the LCD touchscreen. Not the LCD touchscreen in itself, but the naming. The naming is short, and if you are working on a project with several files, you want to see exactly what you are going to print. Have a marquee or do something that the user is going to see what exactly is he going to print. And also adding a map structure. On the Creality Ender-3 Pro, it was no problem. You had a folder structure that you can use to go in special builds, like I did with the Move humanoid robot. But here on this machine, it is not visible. And I don't like that. I want to see very clearly what I'm going to print and what is going to be next. And also talking about the display, nowadays it is so easy to add a thumbnail to your screen because most of the screens are LCD, multicolor, so why not using that feature as well? And also coming back to the filament spool holder, it is very cool to have bearings in a filament spool holder or in the drum. If the direct drive extruder is pulling on the filament and retracting, everything rolls back as well. or filament that is rolling next to the spool and giving you some other issues that you don't want to have. But that are my thoughts about this 3D printer. And you know, if you are interested in buying this 3D printer, well, I will put links in the description where you can buy the official Creality store. You can also use one of the affiliate links in the description. Hey, you don't need to buy them there. You can also buy them on other places where you find this 3D printer. I think 300 USD for this 3D printer, I think is a fair price. What are your thoughts about this Creality Ender-3 S1 Pro? Let me know in the comments. If you're still watching this video, thank you. You are amazing. Thank you for these amazing Patreon supporters and YouTube members. If you want to join the gang, please check out the perks and the links in the description of this video. And like this video, share this video out with other people on social media. And thank you for watching. See you next time. Peace. Bye-bye.